I told everyone my boyfriend was secretly into being humiliated, which is why I called him that word at his birthday party. But nobody understands that I was actually documenting his reaction for a group chat where I'd been planning this for weeks. The real confession isn't just the joke itself, it's that I manufactured the entire scenario because I'd already destroyed us months earlier and needed him to look unstable before the truth about me came out. If I don't explain this now, I'll lose the last people who still believe I was just an insensitive girlfriend rather than a calculating manipulator, and the specific detail about the fake text messages I created will change how you see every single thing I've said since March. My hands haven't stopped shaking since Tuesday, when I saw him posting photos from Rome with that caption about finally living. Mark was never supposed to thrive without me. He was supposed to crumble publicly so I could exit as the sympathetic one. That's what I told myself in April when I started the Cuckold documentation project on my laptop, the folder labeled Insurance, that I've since deleted but still see when I close my eyes. We met at 23, back when I still believed stability was sexy and his predictability meant safety. For 5 years, Mark made me coffee exactly how I liked it every morning without being asked. He remembered my mother's surgery dates and sent her flowers. He kept a running list of my favorite songs and would play them when I was sad. The problem wasn't that he changed, it was that I did, and I couldn't admit it. At 28, I started noticing how other women's husbands had edge, how they traveled for work and came back with stories. Mark's idea of adventure was trying a new brewery on Friday nights. So when the promotion at his firm required him to work closely with a female partner, I used it. I used it because my own restlessness had already led me to David from the marketing department, and I needed Mark to be the villain before I became the adulteress. The first questionable thought came on a Tuesday in March, when Mark mentioned his partner Claire had solved a client crisis. I was scrolling David's Instagram at the time, his trip to Barcelona, his abs on Mediterranean beaches, and I felt this rage that Mark could be impressed by another woman while I was emotionally cheating with my phone. That night when Mark kissed my forehead goodnight, I told my best friend Sarah that he was probably sleeping with Claire. The evidence, he'd been happy at work. Nobody questioned me. Sarah just said, "That would destroy you, you need to protect yourself." That advice became my license. By April, I was checking Mark's phone while he slept. I found nothing but work messages and a group chat with his college friends where they discussed basketball. But I'd already told Sarah I had proof, so I started screenshotting his messages with Claire, completely professional, but I could edit out context later. I made the first joke at our anniversary dinner after too much wine. "Are you sure you want to be seen with me, or would you rather be texting Claire?" I laughed. He went pale. I said I was just being playful. That's what I told myself too. The truth bomb hit in early May when I saw a jewelry store receipt in his email while snooping. $15,000. My heart stopped. I thought he was buying gifts for Claire. I confronted him that night, screaming about his affair. He broke down and showed me the ring he'd custom ordered, the proposal he'd planned for our vacation. I watched the man I was cheating on cry because I thought he was cheating. He said, "How could you not trust me?" And I said, "How could you give me reason to doubt?" Even though he hadn't. That night, as he slept on the couch, I deleted the ring photos from his phone and told Sarah he'd been emotionally abusive when I asked about his spending. Sarah discovered part of the truth 2 weeks later, when she saw Mark at the grocery store buying ice cream, my favorite kind, which I'd told her he refused to get. She called me confused. I doubled down, he's love bombing me because I caught him. I could hear her hesitation, but there was worse coming. I couldn't let him propose. I couldn't accept that ring knowing I'd already slept with David 3 times and wasn't using protection. The consequences escalated throughout June. Mark moved into the guest room, saying he needed space to think about why I'd lost faith in him. Our friends took sides, mostly his, since I'd been the one making jokes about his fidelity. Sarah stopped inviting me to group dinners. I got desperate. I decided that if I couldn't find real dirt, I'd create it. I made a fake Instagram account, posed as Claire, and sent myself flirtatious messages. I showed them to Mark, saying Claire had confessed everything. He stared at the screen, then at me and said, "That's not her writing style, you've been drinking." He was right on both counts. But I had the folder, my insurance policy. I'd been building it since April, screenshots of his messages with Claire that I'd doctored, a fake email from a bull I'd created using David's photos ironic, and a narrative timeline of his descent into this lifestyle. I told myself I was just being thorough. When his sister called, concerned about my drinking, I told her about the evidence I'd found. She told me to get help. I took that as betrayal. The breaking point came at his birthday party in July. I was 3 drinks deep when I made the joke. His college friends were there, his family. I said, "Should we invite Claire to your birthday or does she only get to watch?" Everyone went silent. Mark's best friend Jake said, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I laughed and said, "Google what a cuck is, you'll get it." Mark didn't cry. He just looked at me with this emptiness that was worse than tears. He said, "I think you should leave." That night, he packed a bag and went to his mother's. I unraveled completely after that. I called him 37 times in one night, leaving voicemails that started apologetic and ended screaming about his perversions. I showed up at his office, drunk, and his assistant had to call security. I posted old photos of us on Facebook with captions like, "Missing the man I thought I knew," and watched the sympathy roll in. When my mother flew in to help, I accused her of always preferring Mark. She said, "You're destroying yourself." I said, "He's destroying me." The truth was buried so deep I couldn't even find it anymore. Then came the worst truth, the one that reframes everything. In August, I found out I was pregnant. The timeline was ambiguous, could be Mark's, could be David's. Mark had already filed a restraining order after the office incident, but I violated it to tell him. He met me at a coffee shop with his lawyer. I expected reconciliation. Instead, he slid a DNA test kit across the table and said, "I'll pay for whatever you need, but I know what you did." I had no idea what he meant until his lawyer opened the folder, the real one, the one I'd created. Mark's IT background meant he'd recovered everything I'd deleted from our shared cloud storage. He had the doctored screenshots, the fake Instagram accounts, the staged evidence. He'd hired a PI who documented my meetings with David. He showed me photos of me kissing David in a parking lot, timestamped from March. He'd known for months. He'd let me spin out, documenting every lie while he planned his exit. The most damning detail was the fake bull profile I'd created using David's photos. Mark had traced it back to me through the email IP address. He'd talked to David, who confessed everything, including that I'd told David Mark was into it and wanted to be humiliated. I'd created a narrative where Mark was the pervert, the cuckold, the unstable one. But the real perversion was mine. I'd tried to frame a decent man for my own kink, infidelity, and when that wasn't enough, I'd tried to publicly humiliate him to save myself. The fallout was immediate and total. Mark's lawyer presented everything to my family before I could spin it. My father, a man who'd never raised his voice, called me a sociopath. Sarah released screenshots of our conversations where I'd planned the whole thing. I lost my job when they found out I'd used company software to create the fake evidence. David blocked me everywhere and filed harassment charges because I'd used his photos without consent. The pregnancy ended in a miscarriage at 10 weeks, stress-induced, the doctor said. I told myself that was God's cruelty, but it was mine. I'd created a pressure cooker of lies and detonated it. My reputation now exists in 2 worlds. Publicly, among those who never saw the evidence, I'm the woman who made an insensitive joke and lost her man. But in our circles, the ones who saw the folder, the court documents, the truth, I'm a monster. Mark moved to Rome 3 months ago. He works for a nonprofit now. His Instagram shows him hiking, smiling, building something new. I check it from a fake account at 2 a.m., my hands shaking. My mother pays my rent. I'm legally required to attend therapy for another 8 months. The therapist says I have a personality disorder, but I don't let that sink in. I'm telling this now because yesterday, at the coffee shop near the courthouse where I pay my monthly restitution, I saw Mark in person for the first time since July. He was with a woman who laughed at something he said, and he looked at her the way he used to look at me, like I was the only person in the room. I almost walked over. I almost said, "I'm sorry." But I didn't because I'm still not sure I could mean it. The joke I made wasn't just a word. It was the final move in a game I'd been playing against myself, and he won by refusing to play at all. People think I'm crying over a failed relationship, but I'm crying because I spent a year trying to destroy a good man and all I managed to destroy was me. The cuckold wasn't Mark. It was me, watching from the outside while someone else lived the life I threw away. Judge me if you want. I'm already serving the sentence I designed for him, and the irony is so thick I can barely breathe through it.